Granite is so stabilizing, is so transformative, and so replenishing. One of my big practices lately has been like working with the stones of our local landscapes and also getting to know other rocks that we might encounter. And so I tried to include a fair bit of ordinary rocks in this book. You're going to find things like flint and marble and granite and slate and chalk, because they all have really great effects on adapting our energy in the 21st century, through all those artificial things to the energy of place. And if we can tap into that bigger picture, if we can plug ourselves into something bigger than us, then our circuits aren't going to get fried. So working with our local rocks or working with things that supplement our local rocks is also a great way to do it.
I love that. What's that beach? You have a beach that's full of crystal. Is it Siesta Beach or they're in Florida?
I mean, there are a lot of places that are full of quartz sand, kind of up and down the state on both coasts.
Yeah. I had watched a whole YouTube video on that where it was like super wide and it doesn't get hot because it's crystal, like you said, from the Appalachian Mountains. I want to get into shadow work because this is something that as people, begin to seek spirituality, this pops up, whether it's Jungian or however, people look at it. And I know Tarot has an option with this, and there's so many options when looking at shadow work for spiritual growth, but it can be intense. Crystals, and I know from your book, you talk to them as like partners or allies. How can they help us face and integrate our inner darkness? And then specifically, how do they hold space for us to heal the parts that we fear most? And then that alchemy, like you mentioned earlier, turning pain into power. And I know that's kind of 3 questions, but can you talk about shadow work and crystals?
Yeah, so appropriately enough, this topic is kind of tied up into one of my most intimate crystal teachers. Not a person who taught me about crystals, but a rock who was my guide. And that is Obsidian. And I often oversimplify the story to say that Obsidian is the reason I became a writer. And it has this quality of reflection. It is a natural glass. It is volcanic. It has been polished into mirrors and other reflective surfaces for several thousand years in many parts of the world that could not communicate with one another because they were so far apart or removed by time. We think about like obsidian mirrors in Central and South America, but thousands of years earlier, they were being produced in the Anatolian Peninsula in modern day Turkey.